Captain America Brave New World wrote the latest chapter in the MCU, and it was mid. Meh. Okay. It wasn't quite the dumpster fire Marvel's biggest haters wanted it to be, and it certainly wasn't on the level of Winter Soldier or Civil War or even the first Avenger. It was just mid. And listen, had this come out at any other time, mid would be fine. If it was 2016, Marvel could afford mid. But it's 2025, and it's coming off the heels of some of the MCU's biggest L's. Ever since Endgame, the MCU has been in a sharp decline with more and more fans of the franchise jumping ship. Marvel needed a big win, and bad. Instead, we got this. So the question is, what went wrong? Here are 3 of the biggest problems with Captain America Brave New World. Spoilers ahead. Number 1. Too much exposition. Listen, exposition isn't bad. Some of my favorite movies thoughtfully employ exposition to enhance the overall story. But if a movie has to rely on a huge chunk of the dialogue to hold your hand through plot points and backstories and mythologies, it's a problem. The golden rule of cinema is show, don't tell. And Brave New World does a lot more telling than it does showing. One of my favorite movies of all time is 2016's Arrival by Denis Villeneuve. For a movie centered around language, it surprisingly uses very few words in the dialogue to explain what's going on. When it does eventually use exposition in the third act, it feels earned, because up until that point, it did a fantastic job of showing us what was going on and who these characters were, not telling us. Contrast that with Brave New World. There are way too many moments where characters monologue on, dumping exposition on the audience. Moments that feel less like an actual conversation between characters and more like an excuse to fill the audience in on key information they did a bad job of showing us. For example, we know that Giancarlo Esposito's character Sidewinder was only added during the extensive reshoots, and it shows. His presence in the film really only served one purpose: exposition. The scene where he's telling Sam about the history between President Ross and Stearns is supposed to feel like this really big reveal, but it feels unearned. Why? Because the movie spends no time showing us any of the fire behind Stearns' revenge plot. Too much telling and not enough showing.
You talk too much.
Number 2. Clunky writing. Listen, if you ask me which character I had the strongest emotional connection with throughout the entire film, was it Sam Wilson wrestling with the burden of living up to the mantle of Steve Rogers, coming into his own as a hero despite not having super soldier serum? Nope. Was it Isaiah Bradley struggling to hold on to hope after being falsely imprisoned yet again? Nope. For me, it was President Ross and his efforts to reconnect with his estranged daughter. And that's a problem, because last time I checked, this was a Captain America movie after all. There were so many interesting directions on the table for where they could have taken Sam as a character, but they barely touched on any of them. For example, one of my favorite scenes in the movie was the conversation between Sam and Bucky. The point Bucky makes about Steve Rogers being a hero people could believe in versus Sam being a hero people could aspire to become was so interesting. Why didn't they center the movie around that? Instead, it feels like Captain America gets sidelined in his own movie for a storyline that feels more like a sequel to The Incredible Hulk than an exciting kickoff to the era of a new Cap. This movie feels all over the place, and it's not surprising given the fact that there are 5 credited writers on this project. 5 writers. Chances are, when you have that many cooks in the kitchen, you're gonna get clunky writing. And it's really a shame because all of the actors were great. Anthony Mackie was great, Tim Blake Nelson was fun, Harrison Ford understood the assignment. The cast, especially Anthony Mackie, really deserved more to work with. By the way, I've got to get this off my chest. That scene between Sam and Bucky, which would have been so powerful on its own, is totally soured by the now infamous Marvel trope of feeling the need to throw in a joke after every serious moment. And I don't understand why they keep doing this. They set up these emotional and intimate moments between characters, and instead of letting us sit in the scene and feel the impact of the moment, they crack a joke, which totally ruins what could have been a character-defining scene. And frankly, it's insulting to the audience's intelligence, as if we need these little zingers to stay engaged. If there's anything Marvel needs to steer away from in future projects, it's this. Number 3. The feeling is gone. This last problem is a bit hard to explain, but if you know, you know. I've been a Marvel fan from the very beginning, from Iron Man to the first Avengers movie to Infinity War and Endgame. I still remember that feeling walking into the theater for each new Marvel release. There was a sense of wonder and excitement, the sense that anything can happen, this anticipation for every post-credit scene and how it would tease the next chapter of the story. I was enchanted, I was invested. There was this distinct feeling in the air. Fast forward to today. I walked into Brave New World and felt nothing. And it made me sad. There was no sense of wonder or excitement or anticipation. If I felt anything, it was this nervous hope that they didn't fumble the bag too hard. And in my opinion, it's been this way ever since Spider-Man No Way Home. The feeling is just gone. Part of the reason why Brave New World felt mid was because you could anticipate what you were going to get. It's the standard Marvel movie formula. It's predictable, even if you don't know every beat of the story. And that's not really all on Brave New World. That feeling during peak MCU was built up by a consistent string of good movies. Civil War isn't experienced the same in isolation. Endgame isn't felt the same on its own. These movies were built on the goodwill of the movies that came before it. So it's not surprising that many fans walked into Brave New World jaded. It's because, quite frankly, Marvel's released a lot of mid lately. In other words, Brave New World isn't solely responsible for the feeling being gone. If anything, it's more like a symptom of the state of how things have been. Listen, I love the MCU. I want them to succeed. I want it to like Captain America Brave New World. I want the feeling back. But if they hope to do that, they need to start focusing on making quality films again. And this time around, it just wasn't there. Well, those are my thoughts. What did you think? Was Brave New World as bad as people made it out to be? Or did you end up loving it? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, friends.